class, we have discussed about insertion sort, and for the last two classes, we are discussing about sorting. So in last class, we have discussed about insertion sort, and we have seen what are the particular situation for which we should prefer insertion sort. That's why sometimes insertion sort also called online sorting or card sorting. Now, so far we have discussed the sorting technique such as insertion sort or bubble sort, or say the selection sort. In all these three types of sorting, if you remember that we have compared each and every element. We have compared each and every element, correct? To get which one is smallest or which one is the largest one. And according to that, we are going to perform the sorting. So in this three types of sorting, we need the whole array, as well as we have to compare each and every element. So that's why this three types of sorting belongs to brute force algorithm. If you remember in the first class, I have discussed there are different types of algorithms. One type of algorithm which deals with comparison of each and every element. Those type of algorithms are called brute force type of algorithm. Today we will start with a new type of algorithm. If you remember, there is another type of algorithm which is called divide and conquer algorithm. Now, the basic idea of any divide and conquer algorithm is to divide the problem. Suppose this is our whole problem. So this is the whole problem, and I am going to divide the problem into sub-problem. Again and again, I will going to divide the problem into sub-problem again and again. And why I am dividing into sub-problem? See, a big problem or a large problem is very difficult to solve, but if you get a smaller part of the problem, it becomes very easy to solve. So that is the logic of divide and conquer algorithm, where instead of comparing each and every element, what we are going to do, we are just dividing the array into sub arrays or sub problems, and then we are going to solve the actual problem. Okay, so that's why this type of algorithms are called divide and conquer algorithm. Divide and conquer algorithm. Conquer algorithms. Sorry. So in case of divide and conquer problem, what we are going to do, we are going to divide the problem into sub problems, and then we are going to solve the problem for those particular sub problems, and in this way we will finally get the actual solution. Okay. Now the first divide and conquer algorithm that we have already covered, that is the binary search. If you remember, binary search is a type of divide and conquer algorithm, where instead of comparing each and every element, first we are comparing the element with the middle element, then either we are going to left hand side or we are going to right hand side according to the search element. Okay. So now in case of sorting, the first divide and conquer algorithm, this is searching, this belongs to searching. Now in sorting, the first divide and conquer algorithm that we are going to check for the sorting algorithms is quick sort. Okay. Now there is another divide and conquer algorithm for sorting, which is called merge sort. But merge sort is a very interesting sorting because of its some properties. We will discuss about this. Before that, we will discuss first the quick sort algorithm. Now, the idea of quick sort algorithm is like this. So, quick sort. So, idea of quick sort algorithm is that we will choose the first thing that we have to do. We have to choose a pivot element. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this pivot element? Pivot element is any element which ultimately will be put into its proper position. Pivot element in an array is such an element that when it will be put in its proper position, all the greater elements in the array will be in this side and all the smaller element of the pivot will be in this side. Then we can say that pivot got its proper position. Let us assume one example. Suppose I have some elements like 5, 1, then 3, then 6, then 2. Now, suppose my pivot element is 5. If I put 5 in such a position so that all the greater elements are in this side and all the smaller elements are in this side, those elements, those smaller or greater elements may not be in sorted order, but pivot 5 got its proper position. It means suppose in this side the elements are this and in this side the element is this. Then we can say that in this array, 5 which we have chosen as pivot element got its proper position. So this is the basic idea of quick sort. We will choose one element and we will put it in its proper position. Now see, there is some similarity with this quick sort. If you remember the selection sort algorithm, where instead of choosing any element, we are going to choose the minimum element, then we are putting the element in its proper position. So there is some similarity between quick sort and the selection sort. In selection sort, we have a specific element, either minimum or maximum, but in case of quick sort, we are choosing randomly a particular element and then we are putting the element in its proper position. Now see, in quick sort, so this is for selection sort. Now in quick sort, we are selecting randomly. We are selecting randomly one element. That element is called the pivot element. Clear? Now see, if somehow this randomly chosen element become max or mean element, then quick sort will be converted to selection sort. Remember this. There is some similarity between quick sort and selection sort. What is the similarity? In selection sort, we are choosing max or mean and then putting it in its proper position. In each iteration, we are putting one particular element, max or mean, in its proper position. In quick sort, we are choosing randomly any element and then we are putting it in its proper position. See, this is the proper position of 5, which one we have chosen randomly. And this element is called pivot element. And see, this pivot element selection is the most important part in this quick sort. Why? If your pivot element is max or mean element, then the quick sort will be converted to selection. It means there will be no advantage from quick sort. If somehow you choose your pivot element as max or mean element, then your quick sort becomes selection sort and it will give you the worst time complexity. And there will be no advantage of quick sort if your pivot becomes max or mean. Clear? So that's why this pivot selection is the most important thing. Remember this. So why pivot selection is the most important thing? Why pivot selection is the most important in quick sort? The reason is, if we choose pivot either max or mean, then our quick sort becomes selection sort, and there will be no advantage of quick sort, it becomes selection sort. Okay, so the idea is same as selection sort. Instead of max mean, here we are choosing randomly any element, and then we are putting it in its proper position. Then comes the next part. After putting your pivot in its proper position, now we will get two different sub problems. One side this one, another side this one. Now that's why it is called divide and conquer. So pivot not only giving you the sorted array, but also dividing the problem into sub problems. So pivot also dividing the array into sub arrays. So that's why it is called divide and conquer. See, in each iteration, one element is sorted. What's its proper position? Then my problem is divided into two subproblems. Then in the next iteration, now see, one element is sorted. My problem is divided into two subproblems. Now I can parallelly run two algorithms to complete the solution. Now see, there is no dependency between these two parts. There is no dependency. They are not related. These elements never be compared with these elements. The elements belong to this subproblem will never be compared with the elements belong to this subproblem. So there is no relation between these two subproblems. So we can run them independently, parallelly. Again, from this subproblem, we will choose another pivot element, and my subproblem will be divided into two parts. Again, from this subproblem, we will choose one pivot element. My subproblem will be divided into two subproblems. So in this way, with each iteration, we will move towards the solution. In this way, when the subproblems become single elements, see, when we will stop, when the subproblems become single element. So in this way, when we are moving to dividing, so after some time we have to stop. What is the stopping criteria? When the size of the subproblem, so size of the subproblem becomes 0 equal to 1, then we will stop. Because single element is by default sorted. No need to more sorting. Okay, so this is the whole idea of quick sort algorithm. So choose one pivot element, put the pivot element in its proper position, choose the pivot element, then put the pivot element in its proper position. How we will definite that the proper position is achieved? If all the greater elements are in this side and all the smaller elements are in this side, then we can say that the proper position of the pivot element is achieved. And by doing this, pivot will divides the array into two subproblems or sub-arrays. Okay, so in this way we will move forward. It will continue again and again. When we will stop? When the subproblem size becomes 1, then we will stop. So this is the whole idea of the quick sort algorithm. So let us first take one example, then we will go to develop the pseudocode. Okay, so suppose the elements are like this in an array. Suppose 5, 1, 6, 3, 7, 4, say 8. So suppose this is my array of elements and I'm going to sort them using quick sort. Okay, now how to choose the pivot element? That is another important thing. How to choose the pivot element? We have already discussed that pivot selection is the most important, because if pivot becomes max or mean, it becomes selection sort. So how to choose the pivot element? See, these are the index values of the element 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how to choose the pivot element? I will choose pivot element, the position which are easily accessible. See, we can easily access the 0th index. So these are the index values. 0th index or the last index n minus 1 if there are n number of elements. So here n is 7 elements. So last index value is n minus 1. Or we can choose the mid value, mid equal to lowest index value plus highest index value by 2 and the floor value. So these are the easily available pivot positions which we can choose. In my algorithm, I always prefer the 0th position. You can do any other position or you can choose it randomly also, no problem. But in my algorithm, I always prefer the 0th position. Okay. So here, which one is the pivot element? This one is the pivot element. Clear? Now, what is my goal? I will put pivot element in its proper position. How can I do this? By interchanging the position of this. So pivot that will get its proper position. So these are the rest of the elements and I will interchange or make them adjust in such a way that pivot gets its proper position. How can I do this? To do this, what I will do, I will start moving from this side to this side, and similarly I will start moving from this side to this side. Okay, because to put pivot in its proper position, we required all the smaller elements in this side and we required all the larger element in this side. Okay, that's why I am using different movement. One will start from this side and move towards this. One will start from the end and move towards this. Okay, so we require two different say index values. So suppose this one is I and suppose this one is J. So obviously I will start from which value? I will start from 1 and J will start from n minus 1. So here 6. These are the index value of the elements. Okay. Now what I will do, I will compare pivot with this element. What is my goal? My goal is in this side, all the smaller elements, and in this side, all the greater elements of the pivot. So first I will compare with this. So what is the element? It is 1. Pivot is greater than this, and this is my goal because I require in this side all the smaller elements. So this is according to my goal. Pivot is greater than this element. So what I will do, I will move forward. Now see, there is one element which is not greater than pivot. So after forwarding this I index variable or I plus plus, I will in this position. Now I will compare pivot with this element. See, in this side, I require smaller elements, but this one is greater. So I will stop here. I will stop here. The I variable will stop here. Now I will start this side, the J variable. Okay. Now in this side, I require greater elements. So now I will compare pivot 5 with 8. 8 is greater. So this is according to my goal. So I will move forward. So J will come into this position. Clear? Now again I will compare. Now this element is smaller than pivot. But my goal is in this side, elements must be greater than pivot. So I will stop here. So why I stop here? Because the goal of I is to search smaller element and it got a higher element, and the goal of J is to search greater element. It founds a smaller elements. So that's why I and J stop. Now, how can I achieve my goal? By interchanging these two elements. By interchanging these two elements. If I interchange these two elements, what will happen? The 1, then comes the 4, then 3, 7, and here comes the 6. Okay, write it this way: 1, Here comes the 4. Okay. Then the 3, 7. Then comes the 6 here by interchanging, and then the 8. Okay. And 5 already there. Okay. Now I is in this position, correct? There is I, and J is in this position. Now again I will start comparing the same thing. Again I will start moving from this side to this side, and for J this side to this side. Again I will compare. Now see, this 4 is now smaller than pivot, so I will move forward. Clear? Now this one is smaller than pivot, so I will move forward. This one is greater than pivot, so I will stop here. Let us assume J as this symbol. Now I will start the J loop. J is here. Now this element greater than pivot, so J will move forward. So J will come into this position. Now this one is again greater than pivot, J will move forward. So J will come into this position. Now this one is smaller than pivot. So where J stop? J stop in this location. J stops in this location, and I stops in this location. Now see, in this side, all the elements which are smaller than pivot, they may not be shorted. In this side, all the elements which are greater than pivot, they may not be shorted. So it means now I have already reached my goal. How can I get that I have already reached my goal? By looking at the I and J variable. See, in this position, I and J crossed each other. So far, I is always smaller than J. What is the index value of I in this position? 1, then 2, then 3. What is the index value of J in this position? 6, then 5, then 4. Now in this position, what is the index value of J? Index value of J is 3. And what is the index value of I? The index value of I is 4. It means, so far, I is less than J. Now, I becomes greater than J. So this is the stopping criteria of this comparison. By crossing each other, whenever I and J cross each other, it means I have already covered all the smaller elements in this side, and I have already covered all the greater elements in this side. Okay, so after that, the final thing that we have to do, we have to interchange the pivot element with any one of this element, and we choose the element with whom pivot will be interchanged is this one, this Jth element. You can say Jth element, or you can say I minus 1th element. See, both are same position. I will going to interchange pivot with this 3. What is the position of this element? 3. What is the position? Either the position is Jth position, or you can say it is the I minus 1th position. Okay, and what is the position of pivot? Pivot is in the 0th index value. So what I will do, I will interchange, swap the position element 0 with J or I minus 1. Okay, so after interchanging this 2, 3 and 5, what is the picture? The picture is like this. In this side, 3, then 1, then 4. Here comes the 5. Then in this side, 7, 6. This side 7, 6, 8. It means now this is our pivot. Pivot got its proper position. In this side all the smaller elements, and in this side all the greater elements. Okay, so pivot got its proper position, and my problem now divided into 2 subproblems. Again, same operation will be performed in this subproblem and in this subproblem. It means this will be chosen as pivot element, then it will be compared with rest, and in this way we will move forward. So after this iteration, 3 will got its proper position, 1 in this side and 4 in this side. Then in this side, 7 will get its proper position, 6 in this side, and then 8 in this side. And see, this elements, this sub problems now become single elements. So I will stop. Now this array is totally shorted. So this is the whole idea of quick sort. So you have to start from the pivot element. We'll see whether one side there is all the smaller elements, and we'll see that in another side all the greater elements, and then finally you have to perform another swap operation to interchange the pivot and the element in the position of j or I minus 1, and in this way you will get its proper position, the pivot's proper position, and finally you have to repeat those steps. Okay, so now we are going to convert it into some sort of pseudocode. Let's see how to convert it into some sort of pseudocode. So suppose the quick sort algorithm. So this is the quick sort algorithm. Void. I'm writing the function, not the pseudocode quick sort. What are the arguments? The arguments are, the first thing is the array you have to pass. Two other things you have to pass, the lowest index value and the highest index value. So when you will call the quick sort function, it will be called like this: quick sort, then the array name, lowest index value 0, highest index value n minus 1. So this will be the call of the function, quick sort function. Okay. Now see what I will do in this quick sort. In quick sort, the first thing that we have to do, we have to choose the pivot. So pivot selection is the most important, and that function generally we call, see, the pivot is actually partitioning the array into two subproblems. That is, sometimes this function is called partition. So I will call a partition algorithm. Okay, what are the arguments? The arguments are array, then the lowest index value and the highest index value. And this partition, what partition function will do, partition function will perform all the operation and then put the pivot in its proper position, and finally it will return the position of the pivot. Suppose the position of the pivot is p. So I have to declare the variable p here. Okay. So after this, so suppose this is your whole array. Suppose this is your whole array. So this is the lowest index value. This is highest index value. After this partition function, suppose this is the position of pivot. This is the position of the pivot. So in this side, what is the subarray size? The subarray size will be L2 P minus 1 index value. And what is this side subarray? It will be P plus 1 to H. Is it clear? Or if it is not clear, come to this example. Come to this example. So actually this is your L, this is your H. Okay. Now after performing the pivot selection, so this is the position of the pivot. So this is P. So this subarray from 3 to 4, it will be L2 P minus 1 index value, and this subarray 7 to 8 element, it will be P plus 1 to H. So that's why after getting the position of the pivot, I will call two quick sort function. One quick sort for the first part, array, then lowest value, and the highest index value become P minus 1, and I will call another quick sort for the second subproblem, which is A, lowest index value is P plus 1 to H. Okay, so this is the whole quick shot. Pivot selection, put it in its proper position, divide the problem into two sub-problems and solve the two sub-problems. See, after dividing it into two sub-problems, again I have to perform the quick shot here and quick shot here. So I will call two different quick shots. One for L to P minus 1, L to P minus 1, another for P plus 1 to H. That's why I have called two different quick shots from this quick shot function. So the first quick shot is this one. This is the first quick shot. For this quick shot, we have called this partition. This is a partition function where I have partitioned the array by choosing the pivot in its proper position. Then what I will do? I will call two quick shot again. So this is the whole idea of the code of this quick shot function. Okay. Now, so I have to repeat this. So this is one kind of recursive function. Quick shot calling itself. So recursive function. So remember, recursive function have a tendency that it becomes infinite. If you don't give a proper stopping criteria or breaking criteria, it becomes infinite. It will call again and again. So what is the breaking or stopping criteria? We have already seen that when I will stop, when the subproblem size becomes single element. When by single element, how we can get that this is single element? When L and H both becomes on the same position. If it is a single element, if there is only single element, what is the lowest index value? What is the highest index value? They both are same. Okay. So when there is more than one element, how we will get that there is more than one element? See, in that case, L will be this one, H will be this one. And what is the index values relation? Lowest index value always less than highest index value. So this is the actual relation to satisfy for more than one element. But if it is not satisfying either this or this, then we have to stop. Okay, for this two we have to stop. So for which value we have to continue this partition and quick shot? We will continue this if L is less than H, then we will continue this 3. If it is not, we will stop. So this is the main quick shot function. From this quick shot, what we are doing, we are calling the partition function, and then we are calling two different quick shots because my problem is now subdivided into two subproblems. Okay, so you can easily understood that the partition function is the most important one because it has to put the pivot in its proper position, as well as it will return the position of the pivot so that we can easily divide the problem into two subproblems. Okay, so now the partition function, since it is returning some integer variable, so partition function will be like this. It will return integer value, then the function partition. Now, due to this partition function, sometimes, remember this, sometimes quick shot is also called partition exchange shot. Okay, due to this partition function, sometimes this quick shot function also called, or quick shot is also called partition exchange shot. Remember this. Okay, so what are the arguments? The array itself, this is the first argument. Then the lowest index value, then the highest index value. Okay, so these are the arguments. Okay, then what we have done in our example, we have chosen two different variables or counter to move from left to right side, and another counter to move from right to left side. So we require two different variables. As well as we have to set the pivot. We have to set the pivot. This 5 is chosen as the pivot. So the first thing that we have to declare some variables such as pivot, then I index variable for left to right movement, j index variable from right to left movement, Okay, then the pivot will be selected the lowest element, lowest index value element, none. Okay, after this I have to perform the operation like so. Before this I have to also satisfy, sorry, I have to set the variables I equal to, so I equal to L plus 1 and J equal to H. I also have to set these two variables. Okay, then what I have done in this example, I have compared pivot, sorry, I have compared pivot with this element, ith element. If this element is smaller, I will move forward. Okay, and I will compare with J. If this element is greater than, then I will move forward. So first the left to right movement. So I will write it like this: while pivot is greater than A of I, what I will do, I will increase I